Hello, welcome to the Southern Bible Thumper channel. For this upload, we will be reading 2 Samuel chapter 12. And the Lord sent Nathan unto David, and he came unto him, and said unto him, There were 2 men in one city, the one rich and the other poor. The rich man had exceeding many flocks and herds, but the poor man had nothing, save one little ewe lamb, which he had bought and nourished up, and it grew up together with him and with his children. It did eat of his own meat, and drank of his own cup, and lay in his bosom, and was unto him as a daughter. And there came a traveler unto the rich man, and he spared to take of his own flock and of his own herd, to dress for the wayfaring man that came unto him, but took the poor man's lamb, and dressed it for the man that was come to him. And David's anger was greatly kindled against the man, and he said to Nathan, As the Lord liveth, the man that hath done this thing shall surely die, and he shall restore the lamb fourfold, because he did this thing, and because he had no pity. And Nathan said to David, Thou art the man. Thus saith the Lord God of Israel, I anointed thee king over Israel, and I delivered thee out of the hand of Saul, and I gave thee thy master's house, and thy master's wives into thy bosom, and gave thee the house of Israel and of Judah. And if that had been too little, I would moreover have given unto thee such and such things. Wherefore hast thou despised the commandment of the Lord to do evil in his sight? Thou hast killed Uriah the Hittite with the sword, and hast taken his wife to be thy wife, and hast slain him with the sword of the children of Ammon. Now therefore the sword shall never depart from thine house, because thou hast despised me, and hast taken the wife of Uriah the Hittite, to be thy wife. Thus saith the Lord, Behold, I will raise up evil against thee out of thine own house, and I will take thy wives before thine eyes, and give them unto thy neighbor, and he shall lie with thy wives in the sight of this sun, for thou didst it secretly. But I will do this thing before all Israel, and before the sun. And David said unto Nathan, I have sinned against the Lord. And Nathan said unto David, The Lord also hath put away thy sin, thou shalt not die. Howbeit, because by this deed thou hast given great occasion to the enemies of the Lord to blaspheme, the child also that is born unto thee shall surely die. And Nathan departed unto his house. And the Lord struck the child that Uriah's wife bare unto David, and it was very sick. David therefore besought God for the child, and David fasted and went in and lay all night upon the earth. And the elders of his house arose and went to him to raise him up from the earth, but he would not, neither did he eat bread with them. And it came to pass on the 7th day that the child died. And the servants of David feared to tell him that the child was dead, for they said, Behold, while the child was yet alive, we spake unto him, and he would not hearken unto our voice. How will he then vex himself if we tell him that the child is dead? But when David saw that his servants whispered, David perceived that the child was dead. Therefore David said unto his servants, Is the child dead? And they said, He is dead. Then David arose from the earth, and washed and anointed himself, and changed his apparel, and came into the house of the Lord, and worshipped. Then he came to his own house, and when he required, they set bread before him, and he did eat. Then said his servants unto him, What thing is this that thou hast done? Thou didst fast and weep for the child while it was alive, but when the child was dead, thou didst rise and eat bread. And he said, While the child was yet alive, I fasted and wept. For I said, Who can tell whether God will be gracious to me, that the child may live? But now he is dead. Wherefore should I fast? Can I bring him back again? I shall go to him, but he shall not return to me. And David comforted Bathsheba his wife, and went in unto her, and lay with her, and she bare a son. And he called his name Solomon, and the Lord loved him. And he sent by the hand of Nathan the prophet, and he called his name Jedediah, because of the Lord. And Joab fought against Rabbah of the children of Ammon, and took the royal city. And Joab sent messengers to David, and said, I have fought against Rabbah, and have taken the city of waters. Now therefore gather the rest of the people together, and encamp against the city, and take it, lest I take the city, and it be called after my name. And David gathered all the people together, and went to Rabbah, and fought against it, and took it. And he took the king's crown from off his head, the weight whereof was a talent of gold with the precious stones, and it was set on David's head. And he brought forth the spoil of the city in great abundance. And he brought forth the people that were therein, and put them under saws, and under harrows of iron, and under axes of iron, and made them pass through the brick clin. And thus did he unto all the cities of the children of Ammon. So David and all the people returned unto Jerusalem. In the previous chapter, 2 Samuel 11, David notices Bathsheba bathing and finds out that she is the wife of a loyal soldier, Uriah. David impregnates Bathsheba. He tries to make special arrangements to encourage Uriah to sleep with his wife. He does not. Desperate for a private solution, David arranges a situation that he knows Uriah's death is inevitable. In this current chapter, 2 Samuel 12, the prophet Nathan gives David a story about one rich man taking the only valuable lamb of a poor man. David confesses his terrible deeds that resulted in Uriah's death. David and Bathsheba's son gets ill and dies. Joab sends a message that David is needed in war, Israel is successful, David's second son Solomon is born. Summarizing 2 Samuel chapter 12. In verses 1 through 4, Nathan, David's prophet, tells David about a story of two men. One man is a rich man with many lambs, one man is a poor man with only one female lamb. That's what an ewe lamb is, a female. The rich man had a visitor and wanted to slaughter an animal for his guest. Instead of slaughtering one of his own animals, he slaughtered the animal of the poor man, the only lamb that the poor man had. In verse 5, David's anger was greatly kindled, and he says the man deserves to die because he had no pity, and he should restore the lamb fourfold. To which Nathan responds to David and says, David, you're that guy, and gives him a message from God in verse 7 through 12. So it starts in verse 7 with, Thus saith the Lord. Nathan is telling David what God told him to tell David. So Nathan speaks. He said, God gave you power over Saul, over his wives and kingdoms. And in verse 8, Nathan tells David, if what I gave you was too little, I would have given you more. Why did you do evil? You used the war against Ammon to have Uriah killed, and you took his wife. Now, therefore, you're going to live by the sword. The sword will never depart from your house because of what you did by taking that man's wife. He continues by telling David, I will raise up evil against thee out of thine own house. I will take your wives before your eyes. I'll give them to your neighbors, and your neighbors will lie with your wives in the sight of the sun. What you did was discreet, but I will expose you publicly before all Israel, before the sun. I thought that was interesting that the sun was mentioned twice as part of exposing a sin. So in verse 12, Nathan completes what God told him. So he's not talking anymore. Verse 13, David is talking, and he responds to Nathan, telling him his confession. Yes, I sinned, Nathan. Nathan responds in that same verse, well, the Lord's forgiven you. You won't die. However, because of what you've done, your child is going to die. Verse 15, Nathan leaves. So that conversation is over now. Now we're at a different part. God strikes the child, or the Bible tells us that God struck the child, and the child was sick. David sought God on behalf of his child. David fasted, laid on the ground, and David would not eat, and he would not respond to his servants in verse 17. On the seventh day, the child died. The servants feared to tell him what happened because of how he behaved when he was seeking God on behalf of the child. In verse 19, David saw that his servants were whispering, so he just kind of put two and two together that this is probably something to do with the child. The child is probably gone. So, he asked, is the child dead? And they tell him that he is. So in verse 20, David gets up, he changes clothes, he washes up, he worships God, and then he ate. In verse 21, his servants comment on the drastic change in behavior. And David responds in verse 22. He said, "Well, when the child was alive, I fasted and wept because there might have been some hope for the baby. But now that the child is gone, I can't bring him back, and I won't see him again until I go to him." So that's the end of that incident. Then we get to verse 24 and 25. David comforted Bathsheba, his wife, and she conceived again and had a son named Solomon. In verse 25, we learn that he communicated, David, sent word to Nathan the prophet, and Solomon also gets the second name Jedediah. So we saw that with several characters in the Bible. We see that Jacob/Israel has two names. Gideon was also called Jerubbaal. We have Abraham, who his old name was Abram. Sarah, her previous name was Sarai. So we also know Jesus has several names. So God even has a couple of names. So I am that I am, Jehovah is going to have a few more names, or at least I believe he will. Haven't read that far. But okay, we get the point. Solomon has two names now too, Solomon and Jedediah. Okay, so from 26 to 31, this is a different uh like a different narrative. We're not even talking about David's family anymore. Now, David's war captain, Joab, was fighting against the children of Ammon, or the Ammonites. And so the Ammonites are the descendants of Lot and his daughter in Genesis 19. So after Sodom and Gomorrah, Lot fled with his two daughters, and they got him drunk, took turns sleeping with him, and the children of Ammon, or the Ammonites, are the result of one of those pregnancies. And so Lot really was the original Uncle Grandpa. So I like to bring that up whenever the children of Ammon appear. And from Genesis to now, the Ammonites have still been like around. So, but they did descend from inbreeding. So basically, what's happening here, the war captain is subduing this group of people, but in order for David to get credit, David needs to come there and uh, be there to help complete conquering these people. And that's what he's saying, encamp the city and take it, or it'll be called my name and I'll get the credit for defeating the city. So David gathered his people. He took the crown off of the king's head. And what was significant about this, or, the Bible tells us that the crown weighed 75 pounds. And we see in the Christian Standard it had a precious stone. The New Living Translation says it had precious stones. It was set with gems. Precious stones, precious stones. A precious stone in the New American Standard with precious stones. The English Standard says it was a precious stone. But that's what happened here. After that, Israel subdued the children of Ammon and made them their servants. So that is what we have for 1 Samuel chapter 12. Thank you for clicking on the video. I love you. Have a wonderful day.